mute that. And now I have to find it rearranged my screens. There we go. Okay. We are rejoicing again that Suvijana is having some secluded retreat time. So she's probably actively putting these words we're going to study today into practice. And we can share merits of her retreat and our study. Oh yes, I'm seeing the YouTube. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang Dhammang Sangham Namasami. A veneration to this heritage that's come down so many centuries. And we get to look at today. And what we're going to be looking at today is called the escape. There are actually multiple suttas with this name, and they have slightly different lists within them. So maybe another week we'll do another escape list, or you can study them on your own. So today we are going to share the screen. Oh, okay, this one. All right, there we are. And it is Elements of Escape in the Anguttara Nikaya 613. I think there's one in the 5s and another one in the 3s, if I remember correctly. But this one is particularly dear to me right now because it contains all of the 4 Brahma Viharas and a couple of very special bonus ones as well. So we'll go through this together. Practitioners, there are these 6 elements of escape. And escape, the word is Nissāraṇīya, and that's related to escape. It's literally the related to going out or regarding a way out. So, and what is it that we're getting a way out of? I mean, in the totality, it's of samsara, but it's the step-by-step, it's release from the craving, and it's a release from the ego, the egoic self. I'm starting to really separate the word self and ego a little bit. It's my experiment practice right now, because there is this self thing that is important for just conventional communication in society. And really what we're letting go of is this ego attachment. So I'm playing with separating those words out a little bit. It's egoless, might be what I would say for anatta. So here, the things we're moving toward escaping from, and we'll go through a list of 6 things that are not so wholesome, and the means of escape, and testing, have I really escaped? Is it really so? So it's an interesting sutta. It's a simple sutta, but it has a depth of practice to it. So I hope we'll uncover that today. So what's 6? A practitioner who says, I've developed the heart's release by kindness. I've cultivated it, made it my vehicle and my basis, kept it up, consolidated it, and properly implemented it. So we can see that this is not just, as I say, it's not a once and done. It is a practice, it is a cultivation, a nurturing. We'll go through the Pali of these words at the end if there's time. I think there will be. because it's been really rich for me to really look at these words and say, am I doing that in my life? Is there a way that I could be giving more attention and care to this? Or am I stressing and straining in a way that's not valuable? Like if you've got a vehicle as your basis, do you drive around with the brakes on? How that's stressing and straining it. So we can look more at these characteristics of how we're practicing a little later. And right now we're looking at the developing the heart's release. And Bhante Sujata's translation had, I think this might be the only word change I did within his translation, which is what this is based on. He says by love, which I do like. I do like that. It's an emotive tone I appreciate. But really the quality, it's metta. I almost feel like we should leave it untranslated. But the quality here, I feel that's really essential is this quality of friendliness, of kindness, and a pure kindness, a pure friendliness, just an no strings attached love would be another way to put this. So I've developed this heart's release by kindness. I've cultivated it, made it my vehicle and my basis, kept it up, consolidated it, and properly implemented it. Yet somehow ill will still occupies my mind. Atachapana vyapado chitam pariyadayati. The pariyadaya, that's the deterioration and exhaustion, an overpowering, obsessing. Bhikkhu Bodhi translates this as obsessing the mind. I like that. Controlling, taking all around, so taking over the mind. And then the T is standing or a lasting or remaining, a persisting. So there's this persistent nagging of ill will that keeps coming into the mind. It doesn't mean that you aren't having wonderful moments of metta, but then it's obscured or interrupted by this ill will. And really, as we practice, we start to see those two things cannot be in the mind at the same time. You may flash between them, but they cannot occupy the mind at the same time. And why is that? We'll get to that. Oh, yes. So another way of saying this, that ill will still occupies my mind, is that yet somehow ill will persists in overpowering or deteriorating my mind. So there's an erosion of the mental state with ill will. And the person who's hearing this says, they should be told, not so, Venerable, don't say that. Don't misrepresent the Buddha, for misrepresentation of the Buddha is not good, and the Buddha would not say that. It's impossible, Reverend. It cannot happen that the heart's release by kindness has been developed and properly implemented, yet somehow ill will still occupies the mind. For it is the heart's release by kindness that is the escape from ill will. So this is a spot in the, with neuroscience, they talk about what can occupy the mind. Is there any simultaneousness of emotive tones, or these kind of things? And here the Buddha is telling us that there is not a sense of real, deep, true kindness and ill will simultaneously. It does not happen. It's impossible. And so this is something that we can really explore. So the word here, heart's release by kindness, I love this word, pun intended, Metta Ceto Vimutti. It's the liberation of the mind by friendliness, an emancipation of the heart by benevolence. So these wholesome, well-wishing qualities, this real sense of warm care that a really unstrings attached love has. And this heart's released by kindness that does not occupy the heart, the mind, at the same time as ill will. So if we're really in kindness, we're not in ill will. In a subtle way, I experienced this early on in monastic life when I was doing a lot of metta practice, and I was trying to use it as an antidote for ill will and anxiety, and that kind of class of emotive tones. And I'd come from a very striving background, so I was striving with my metta, and I eventually realized that I was pushing the metta rather than letting the metta pervade. And that quality of pushing was a subtle ill will of pushing away. And when I finally came to understand that the metta practice was able to transform and really be more deeply cultivated. So this is an example of the subtle sense of where ill will might creep into our practice. And where really understanding and deepening kindness can be an escape from ill will. Okay, so that's our metta. And the sutta continues. Take another mendicant who says, I've developed the heart's release by compassion. I've cultivated it, made it my vehicle and my basis, kept it up, consolidated it, and properly implemented it. Yet somehow the thought of harming still occupies my mind. They should be told, not so, Venerable, for it is the heart's release by compassion that is the escape from thoughts of harming. I think this is another one we could, at the end open up for discussion of the times that where you have a sense of compassion, but there are also maybe you have compassion for someone who's been harmed and you're trying to give them assistance, but there are also thoughts of harm against the perpetrator. This is one that comes up as a societal almost okayness. And really, if we're really not just doing something that's helpful for an individual, but also really releasing the heart through compassion, the presence of thoughts of harm needs to be completely absent for the purity of the heart to be released, escape, emancipated. We have to drop the thoughts of harming. And there are plenty of people that you see, whether on your screen or on your street or in your news, that you may have this sticky quality of if they were just hurt, then they would stop hurting. And it seems like a solution. I say it's a short-term solution. Even if that person is, erased from the capacity to harm, the heart is stuck. The heart is harmed. And so we really, really need to come to full embodiment of compassion so that our actions have the power of the practice with it. When you can direct all of your action through one medium that is very wholesome, you aren't depleting your capabilities. So for those who are in activist work, this is a really important and valuable thing to consider. Can my heart really be released? Can I really act in the fullest of my power if there are thoughts of harming. This is a big one. And it's so powerful when you come to this place where you're acting with love. Okay? The third one, take another practitioner who says, I've developed the heart's release by rejoicing. I've cultivated it, made it my vehicle and my basis, kept it up, consolidated it, and properly implemented it. Yet somehow discontent still occupies my mind. They should be told, not so, Venerable, for it is the heart's release by rejoicing that is the escape from discontent. And this is one where we can look at envy and jealousy, what we want to hold on to or what we want from someone else. Can we really be rejoicing in our goodness or the goodness of someone else with whatever is arising that's supportive? If there is still this stingy quality or discontent quality, this goes further. I'm picking the jealousy, envy aspect of it because it's a really easy one to see. Oh, well, they got that, and I want it too. I rejoice that they have it, but I want it too. And that can be true, but they don't occupy the heart and mind in the same way. And I want it too can be really let go of in a way that still you're open to receiving it. You're still, if that emerged in your life, that is wonderful and good, and we'll get more to that in the equanimity, which is next. But when we're purely in the rejoicing, then there is not this discontent. One time I noticed this as a child, and it's kind of an odd example. I was not in the popular crowd as in elementary school or whatever. I had friends, but I wasn't in that inner circle type thing that, often you see in schools. And that was fine with me. It really wasn't a crowd I wanted to be hanging out with. But I was on a softball team that was predominantly the popular crowd and me. Just how the rotas ended up working out. And one of them was having a birthday party, and everyone else was invited except me. And we were all riding in the back of the truck, and the plan was to drop me off at my house, and the rest of them were going to go on to this birthday party. And I'm sitting in the back, and I'm a little bit of the oblivious type, have been most of my life, probably all of it. I just can't remember. And they missed the turn for my house, and I was sitting in the back just enjoying how they were all talking to each other about this excitement of this party and whatnot. And I had no sense of, and I'm not invited. I really didn't need to be invited. But I remember that sense of happiness that was not of me. It was just rejoicing in their happiness. But then one of them knocked on the window and says, Dad, we still have my lay name, Michelle, in the car. Gotta take Michelle back. And, at that, then the bubble burst and the ego was back in and all of that. But I remember the visceral sense of change from being just content in rejoicing at these other schoolmates' joy, and then having to land back into, and I'm not included, and kind of this strangeness in my head or my heart of, I don't really want to be included, but am I content? And, then having to parse through it. So it's nice if we can find those spots in our life where we've actually landed in that quality, and it was unencumbered. And then see the shift. And when the shift happens, notice the body awareness of what changed, whether it's going from rejoicing to discontent or The discontent falls away and we're rejoicing in a pure way. And really use mindfulness to notice those moments where the wholesome is really fresh and alive in our bodies, in our hearts, in our minds, and that the actions that move out of it are powerful and unencumbered. So that's kind of the basic message of this sutta for me today. So we'll move on to the fourth one. Take another mendicant who says, the development of the heart's release by equanimity. I've cultivated it, made it my vehicle and my basis, kept it up, consolidated it, and properly implemented it. Yet somehow desire still occupies my mind. They should be told, not so, venerable, for it is the heart's release by equanimity that is the escape from desire. And I touched on this a little bit with the last example. It's when we're really in that stable, balanced place of the heart and mind. It is not a quality of austere coldness. It's a coolness, perhaps, but not a coldness. And this cool, even quality is something that doesn't have this grasping. Now, when you do that sense of the body state, there is not this leaning and wanting. It's an evenness. It's, we get to practice it a lot in monastic life. The different foods that come for a meal, or that don't come, or the meal's delayed, or well, maybe it's not going to arrive today, and that sense of is there desire, a leaning, a needing, that's taking over, or is it an evenness? Okay, it's like this today. The foods won't be good in my body today. The foods will be absolutely wonderful. This person knows, and they're serving whatever, and does that unbalance the mind? Food is an easy one for probably all of us to look at this quality, but it's the same even on the global level. Can we be even and balanced? I think this is our best approach to climate chaos, is to really be equanimous with things as they are, as we take action to do what we can. I always fall back on Ajahn Mahapasart's advice of do your best and let it go and do your best. And so there is this sense of doing that is balanced and even, and you're not in the realm of desire. For me, of course, when I did emergency response type things, as it would come up, of course I had an outcome that I would prefer. I would prefer the person to be safe and well and comfortable and rescued, and those kind of things. But in the moment of difficulty, all of that tended to drop away. I think it's partly disposition and partly training. It falls away, and there is this evenness and a doingness. You know the next right thing to do. It falls away. We'll get a little bit more into this, what's going on there in a couple more steps. And I really want to make sure I leave time, because there's so many rich options here for people to discuss. We've covered metta. I'll get to the list of what the antidotes are. We've covered metta and karuna, compassion, the rejoicing, and now the equanimity. And so we've got the 4 Brahma Viharas, and there's 2 more things. This next one. Take another practitioner who says, I've developed the signless release of the heart. I've cultivated it, made it my vehicle and my basis, kept it up, consolidated it, and properly implemented it. excuse me, yet somehow my consciousness still follows after signs. They should be told, not so, Venerable, for it is the signless release of the heart that is the escape from all signs. Now, I don't know that this one is practicable in daily life. If it is, I'm certainly not that far, but I feel like maybe you can get to the point of not grasping at signs. And that might be what's being said here. I'm thinking it out as I reread it. So yeah, that actually could be what's being implied here, because earlier I said that word about the here still following after. We're still looking in the realm of the Pali of obsessing the mind or controlling the mind. And so it may be that there's eye consciousness or ear consciousness at the sign of something, but no grasping onto it. So that might be a lived daily experience with it. But where we most often encounter this, at least in the, on our way to awakening, which is, where probably we're somewhere on that trajectory, is that in meditation, we can get to a state where the signs are let go of. Ajahn Nalio, or Bhante Nalio, has a wonderful series of meditations that lead from the compassion practice into the emptiness practice. And there is a wonderful section in there about the signless meditation. So highly, highly recommend that. What's happening here is with the signless release of the heart is this non-grasping after signs, and actually a point in practice where the perception of the signs falls away. You're just not at all interested in or following or attaching to. Out in the forest, I started at Cloud Mountain. I was doing this practice during my 5-week retreat. And I would sit out in the forest and I would, pull back from the diversity of all beings out in the world, the cities, the towns, into the forest that I was in, the trees, the earth, and as that awareness of where the perception was landing would fall away, eventually, my eyes would close and I would be able to go deeper and deeper. And I'm sure you've experienced this kind of thing where the attachment to the signs is not there, and even eventually the perception of the signs has fallen away. So this is the practice it's pointing to, and I think I will experiment more with what is that? Is it possible, and what does it feel like in daily life? Because I do notice it. I definitely notice, like, I've used this example before of croissants, where croissants used to be something that I was, enamored with back in lay life, and over time I realized the gluten levels, it was actually poison to me, and over time it's just like I could see the sign of the croissant changed. My perception of it changed. At first it changed from being nummy, nummy, nummy to, ooh, that's dangerous. And then eventually it's just noticing the object on the counter or wherever it is, and moving on. And that balance of the heart mind just stays. It's like, it's a that. It's like this, and moving on. So just some considerations here. These are my own words. Please, these are not the words of the Buddha I'm talking here. This is, I want there to be also an exploration practice that leads each of us into that sense of what is it really to be an escape. Okay, one more. Here's a biggie. Take another practitioner who says, I'm rid of the conceit I am, and I don't regard anything as I am this. Yet somehow the dart of doubt and indecision still occupies my mind. They should be told, not so, Venerable, Don't say that. Don't misrepresent the Buddha, for misrepresentation of the Buddha is not good. And the Buddha would not say that. It's impossible, Reverend. It cannot happen that the conceit I am has been done away with and nothing is regarded as I am this, yet somehow the dart of doubt and indecision still occupies the mind. For it is the uprooting of the conceit I am that is the escape from the dart of doubt and indecision. So uprooting, and this is what I talked about at the beginning, of that sense of I'm kind of moving away from the word of non-self to non-ego. And that's again, it's an experiment I'm doing because there is this conventional, we have to talk about, myself, I did, that sense of self is a thing that is conventionally noticeable in the world. But what is this I am we're talking about? That's that ego aspect. So I'm using ego, non-ego or egolessness for anatta right now. And that sense of not getting this sticky me involved in it, can we see how that would be the escape from the dart of doubt and indecision? So with doubt, what is it we're doubting? How does doubt arise? Doubt arises out of this egoic sense of, I feel a shakiness of it, a trembling of with doubt. This I don't know, but I don't know in a very sticky kind of, and I need to know because my safety's involved or my reputation or my whatever. But the I don't know that is just a letting go is a very different kind of thing. It's different than doubt. I don't know and doubt don't need to go together, if that makes sense. It's a very, doubt is something that really eats at my resourcedness, and it eats away at my quality of wanting to attend. So what is it that's causing that eating away? It's this egoic I am, I need, I want, I should. And with indecision, it's the same thing. The decisioning, the sense of receptivity to right directedness. When there are some monastic friends that I described as, well, they're very decisive. And the decisiveness is not coming out of a sense of, I am this, da da da. It's a sense of, I don't doubt the Dhamma and the Dhamma points there. There's a clarity that's possible and present when this egoic conceit is out of the way. So that's what this one is looking at. And the word here is manasamukkhata, eradication of comparing oneself. It's the killing of conceit. And the mana is that pride, the egotism. It does have that here, comparing oneself. Okay, so we're gonna look at the list of these 6 things and what they help us escape from. And then I think we'll have time to look at the the practice words. All right, so in review, the heart's release by kindness is the escape from ill will. The heart's release by compassion is the escape from thoughts of harming. The heart's release by rejoicing is the escape from discontent. The heart's release by equanimity is the escape from desire. The signless release of the heart is the escape from all signs. Uprooting of the conceit I am is the escape from the dart of doubt and indecision. So this is one. Often I'll write these things down and post them next to my bed or in the kitchen or something, so that I have a training list. What is coming up? I've got discontent coming up. What's the antidote? Let's play there. Or I'm feeling this. I'm feeling very equanimous now. Let me check. Yeah, it's true. Desire is not present right now. And this is how we can really confirm that the Dhamma is as the Dhamma says. It's almost like, little practice tests. And so when you're feeling particularly kind, take a moment to look. Is there any will? As Bhante Analayo says it, no, there's no ill will present anywhere. So I definitely recommend his meditations. So that's the list. And then the refrain that's repeated throughout, we use the heart's release by kindness as the example. The heart's release by kindness, or compassion or rejoicing and equanimity, the signless release of the heart, and uprooting of the conceit I am. Sorry, I have the whole list right here. It's developed, cultivated, made it my vehicle, my basis, kept it up, consolidated it, and properly implemented it. So that's Bhante Sujato's translation of those terms. And as you can see, we've got how many here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 somewhat synonymous ways of saying, keep at it. This is, as I keep saying, it's not a once and done. Keep at it. And I find it useful to look at the Pali words for this and try different ones on. In some cases, his translation has worked for me, and in others, I've looked at other words that were more supportive for my practice. So the first one, you could look at bhavita, and that's a causing to be. So causing the arising of, the development of. It's a cultivation. And it's somewhat similar to the next one, bahulikata. And that's practicing often. It's literally made a lot. So, how often do you practice metta? Well, a lot. How often do you look at this sense of the ego and let it go? A lot. So it's repeated, it's done again and again. The next one is a fun word, yanikata. It's literally made a vehicle. The yani is the vehicle. So it's literally made a vehicle of it. And there's so many analogies and similes that you can come up with out of that sense. And you'll find those in the suttas as well. But you could also look at it be familiarized, mastered. You can think of, if you learn to drive or ride a bike, or that sense that what it took to really understand and be familiar with, so that you could ride the bike and really, take in the scenery at the same time, because you'd mastered that skill of being on a bicycle. Okay. Vatukata, made a foundation, made a basis, firmly established. I'm currently liking the firmly established. Really, I've established this as a basis in my practice, and that's a helpful image for me. Is that, I've set this foundation, I've established it, and upon this establishment I build. Which building is the next one. Anuttita, practiced, established, repeatedly practiced, literally stood near. I like stayed with. I stayed with it. Bhante Sujata says kept it up. So find what words encourage you. And this next one was the one talking with another monastic. We were both like, we like nurturing better. We're going to go with the nurturing for parichita. Practiced, rehearsed, consolidated, familiarized, literally gathered all around. So gathered round is a way that I gathered round the Brahma Viharas. Oh, isn't that a beautiful way to move through the world? Or you could use more uh, strong, there's the nurtured, but there's also consolidated and fortified and strengthened, built up. And that might be resonant for your personality. Now, so take the words and the valence that works for you, familiar with. So for me, I'm going right now with the nurtured, gathered round. So my practice is nurturing. As I said in the metta example I gave earlier, my practice had been forceful. I was trying to do metta forcefully, and I realized I really needed to nurture and gather round the metta. And the last one before we open up is susamarada, resolutely undertaken, fully engaged with, energetically taken up. So firmly held up. The example that comes to mind here for me is at a Lokavahara one year we had I think it was a katina ceremony. It actually happened a couple of times, but the katina I think was one of the strongest ones. And we had this rented tent out in the field, and then the winds came along very strong and were trying to grab the tent and throw it around. And people just, both monastics and lay people, just instantly jumped up, and each one grabbed a corner or stood at a pole and firmly held up the tent, so that it would not collapse on people and it would not blow away. But so that image is helpful for me in some regards, and at other times I like to say it's Bhante Sujata says properly implemented. That's beautiful. I find more beautiful fully engaged with. So this practice of the kindness, compassion, rejoicing, equanimity, signless release of the heart, and uprooting of the conceit I am should be fully engaged with. So I'll offer that as our sutta reading and contemplation, and would like to open it up with plenty of time today for comments and questions, statements of how you've used this in practice, or where it doesn't make sense, or you might want to try something else. So please feel welcome to bring those words in now.
Good
Oops,
morning.
sorry, my speaker was off.
Yeah.
Please go again.
Good morning. Thank you for your sharing and the way you gathered the sutra and the table that you created was just so wonderful. My goodness. And then the different words uh, um, that really help for me convey all the ways I can practice and the different angles to take.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if it's me that froze.
Oh,
Did I
I can hear you.
freeze?
I can hear you.
Did I freeze? Okay, I'm back. Okay. Um, yeah, that was really helpful being able to see all the different words that, kind of express how to practice. I wrote a lot of it down because I feel it's like it's so nuanced and
Yes.
there's extremely. And it's these different ways that we like give rise to it. It's like this, it's like a rehearsal of it on the outside and then the inside gathering it up from within and then finding it, and so I just love all of these words, and I would like to request if it's okay, a copy of your notes.
Yes. Send it to info@pasadi, and I'll mail it back to you.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. It's just so helpful to see all the ways we can bring it about, give rise to it. from within and without, and all these, I feel like it's speaking to all these layers of within us and all of the directions,
Mm-hmm.
the outward direction and then the direction into ourselves. So that was so wonderful. And I see how studying the sutra in this really like um intentional way, why we translate these words so that we can see all the ways it can, we can connect to it in English, right? And in the way we use language, to point at the way we, tap into that within, right? Or give rise to it within. So it's so wonderful. It just fills me up with just so much good energy to just hear you and reflect on it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I also just collected in my mind as you were talking, you used words like rehearsed, gathered, found. There were several more
Yeah.
throughout there, and we can make our own lists too of the things that the ones that are resonant right now, because sometimes we do need a firm word and sometimes we need an expansive word and sometimes, and it really directs the heart when we pick a languaging that is resonant. It's embodiable. Let's make that a word.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Others, examples or difficulties.
I
Cat.
had I had a question, Aya. The the wording or the verbiage on signless release of the heart, like I'm having a hard time with that. When you said emptiness, that made more sense, but I guess I'm not exactly sure what it's pointing to. Like, and maybe it's just this translation. I don't know.
Yeah, as I was reading it, I thought, actually, I need to go look at the Pali a little bit more and see where it fits within the teaching on voidness.
Hmm.
Because I think that is probably a really good place to look. It's one of the places that I've encountered it the most is when looking at the Chula Sunya, uh, Chu, my brain's not pulling it up. The shorter discourse on emptiness. I I have a number in my head. I'm just not going to say it because I'm not sure. It's in the Majjhima Nikaya. And the sense of moving through how the signs of people and activity in a town, and so, and then moving your mind away from that into my empty hut or the forest or the so the way the sutta proceeds is you're taking your attention away from the signs of called the diversity of experience and bringing, and this might be where consolidated comes in, that I consolidate my attention with less and less signs of the world. I got off of Facebook. I'm not looking at YouTube. um, those might be ways that you approach emptiness in our modern
So
technology.
could it be?
So that's one way.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, I mean,
Go ahead.
it feels like it's pointing at the sense gate. Is that, does that make sense? Like it's pointing towards the sense gates,
Um,
like like a pulling away from, I mean, pulling away mean like isn't the right word because that connotes like pushing away maybe, but like a withdrawing of
right.
attention maybe from the
A
sense gate.
withdrawing of attention. I, I like the withdrawing of attention. Uh, it's because I'm directing my attention elsewhere,
Okay.
and the direction of the attention is actually on the emptiness,
Okay.
the sightlessness. It's so the attention ends up resting in the spacious release of attending to the diversity of things.
Okay. That helps. Thank you. I was just, at first I was like, what on earth does that even mean? Like,
Definitely, definitely. And we can do some of the suttas that are on silent. And there's again, Bhante Analayo has a wonderful paper on signlessness. It early on, it was one of the meditations that my preceptor gave me, and it made no sense at the beginning.
yeah, I
So
can see that.
yeah, no worries about it. And then
Yeah,
eventually it's, it's really a beautiful practice.
yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, that's helpful.
yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. A few minutes for any other comments or concerns, curiosities, how you would practice with this. I've heard Trina's talking about, you know, making a list and looking more at the details and the nuances. That was another word that you used. That this is very nuanced. I I read a sutta that I read years ago, and I just can't believe how much deeper it goes. It's amazing and beautiful, and you know, yeah. The embarrassing one was, when I first read or was at a talk and heard um, the Honeyball Sutta on perceptions. I just went, well, of course, that's kind of like a no-brainer, and what's the big deal here? And others in the room were like rejoicing at how deep and profound this was, and I'm like, it's just like, of course. And it's true on one level that it is, of course. If you have any sense of the study of what perception is, it's like, of course. And then when you actually go into a meditation practice and a lived experience of perception, it is so much deeper. Oh, and so that's one that reminds me of, oh, go back and read that. Now it's wow, what an amazing sutta. It's not just why would we read that one? Of course.
It reminds me, I teach Tai Chi, and one of the things that we talk about a lot is that Tai Chi is like an onion. Like there's always another layer. Like I always say, don't be scared. You don't have to stick around for all the layers, but like if you like it, there's always something else. Like, and I also really love the saying, when the student is ready, the master will appear. And so I always feel like when you read a sutta again and something new pops out, it's because you're ready for it. You
Yeah.
know, like there's something that in your experience of that moment, you're reading it differently. And so I feel like both of those are very applicable to any of the suttas, like because we may read them multiple times and just hear something different each time.
Yes, yes, and the way you're putting that is beautiful. And I think that maybe the layers of the onion are also the layers of the ego, because as that from that sixth one of the practices, as that sense of self and attachment and stickiness, that that layer is, now we can peel that one away and we encounter the Dhamma in a very fresh and new way. It can penetrate more deeply and can mature. So that sense of what is it we're peeling away? We're peeling away the delusions of self and encountering the Dhamma on another more nuanced level, down and down and down until we find out there's no middle in the onion. What's in the middle of the onion or the palm tree? Well, that is the true emptiness. That's the voidness that's liberation. All right. Does this feel like enough for today? Oh no, definitely. Let's have another question or comment. Uh, sorry. Sorry. How do I
Hi, good morning.
pronounce your name for me, please?
Sarai.
Sari. Is that all right?
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Aya. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I was running late. I am at work, so I don't have a lot of privacy, but I want to appreciate what I was able to get. I was wondering, because I didn't hear the sutta, is the Anguttara Nikaya 613?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I can read it and pay attention. And I really appreciate the board, the table. That is
Oh,
easier to understand. I am a visual person, and yes, with a
send me
new
an email.
vocabulary.
Send
Okay,
me
I
an
will do
email
that.
to info@Pasati, and then I'm happy to, it's just a Google Doc, so I'm just happy to share it with anyone.
Perfect. I appreciate it. And I have a question. Do you have any recommendation on how to memorize the suttas?
Oh, yes. The refrain in the sutta is one that I had memorized because it appears in other suttas as well. So one thing that I did was I would take just a segment of the sutta out with me, the part that, like the real pith of it. So another sutta, like the Bahia Sutta, is one that I practiced with a lot. And I wrote just the phrases down that were most important to my practice. And I would read it and I would walk and I would read it, and eventually it would become like a mantra. Now, for myself, I kind of set that to a slightly musical chant tone. So you can use one of the tones, like the Bhavana Society has a beautiful rhythmic tone, or the Burmese, the Burmese I think have some really melodic sounding chant styles, but it can be your own as well. So a lot of times I would set it to something that would help me with the memorization of it. So that's the aspect of remembering the Dhamma bit that will help you throughout the day. Like Ayasuvijana can just quote off the segment from the simile of the saw. That's what I'm working on memorizing now. That's about the cultivation and starting with that person. I pervade the whole universe with a heart of loving kindness. So she has it right at hand when it's needed. The other type of memorization is a full sutta, so like memorizing the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, that type of thing. And for that, I think it's basic repetition with mindfulness. So it's really important that it not just becomes syllables that are uttered, but that there really be a sense when Ayasuvijana and I chant the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the wheel turning sutta about the Dhamma being introduced for the first time to the five ascetics, we chant with so much happiness, and we know what we're chanting, so at certain points our voices get uplifted, and now we know we're chanting with the devas are celebrating, and because there's this sense of really following with mindfulness the meaning of the sutta, then it's so much easier to memorize. So is that helpful, those approaches?
Yes, it is. I think I'm going to start with the first one, baby steps. I need to be patient, and I really appreciate you talking about doubt and the self. Thank you. And also, I want to share with you, and I want to make it public. I want to hear myself too that my aspiration for this Vasa is reading the anthology of the Anguttara Nikaya.
Oh,
So, yeah,
wonderful. Wonderful.
thank
That
you.
is a very, yes, each vasa, it's common for monastics in particular and lay people as well to pick part of the canon and use that, read through it, or spend a little extra time studying something. So I rejoice at your aspiration. All right, so let's pay homage to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and then we can go off the YouTube if anyone wants to stay on with other comments or questions. Arahang Samha Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam namasami. Supatipanho bhagavato savaka sangho sanghang namami.